There's a solid reason why Galactus is considered to be one of the most powerful and ancient creatures in all of the Marvel Universe. The Devourer of Worlds was created from the Big Bang, and in order to survive, he needs to travel from planet to planet and consume the energy that they produce. In order to do this, he needs a Herald, which is a partner who is endowed with the power cosmic and is tasked with finding worlds for their master to, well, devour. There have been just over a dozen other Heralds employed by Galactus before, and long after the Surfer broke free of his control. Although Norrin Radd, dubbed the Silver Surfer by his master, is considered to be the most famous and iconic Herald of Galactus, there have been other Heralds employed by Galactus. After all, it is a respectable title to bear, and with it comes an amazing amount of power, as well as a unique tale in which they either comply with the demands of their master or plot against him. Because Galactus is in need of assistance or because he threatens to do something evil, bargains are struck, sacrifices are made on a regular basis, and even sometimes old friends are reunited. All of this happens for one of two reasons. Even if some of the Heralds are definitely superior to others, few characters can make the claim that they are as cool or even as fabled as the Heralds. This is one of the reasons why they are all such interesting characters. The Destroyer. The god of thunder Thor gave the Destroyer to Galactus in return for the release of his then-current Herald, in whom Thor had discovered innate heroism. The Destroyer is considered one of the coolest comic book villains that Thor has ever encountered. In contrast to most of Galactus's Heralds, the Destroyer lacked a previous personal identity and acted solely according to the whims of its wielder. This should have made it an ideal candidate for the role of the uncompromising cosmic devourer, but in practice, it proved to be anything but. Galactus, on the other hand, was dissatisfied with the Destroyer's systematic approach and did not hesitate to accept Loki's offer to take the old armor off his hands when it was presented to him. Airwalker. Gabriel Lan, a highly decorated Zendarian soldier and a member of the Nova Corps, had devoted his whole life to the pursuit of adventure. He joyfully embraced Galactus's offer of cosmic power and the chance to travel the cosmos when he was contacted by him, and as a result, he was converted into the Airwalker. During his travels with Galactus, Airwalker developed a close friendship with the Devourer and devotedly served him. When Galactus was assaulted when he was weak and unable to defend himself, he finally gave his life up in service to his lord. Galactus, distraught about the death of his loyal friend, sought to resurrect the Airwalker by uploading its mind into a mechanical copy. However, the copy failed to capture the personality of its original, as well as its zeal for discovery. Galactus, overcome with disappointment, left the Airwalker robot on Earth, where it ultimately found its way into the hands of those who sought to destroy the Fantastic Four. Redshift. Redshift's life before he became a Herald of Galactus is shrouded in mystery, but throughout his brief service to the planet-consuming monster, he displayed an unflinching dedication to Galactus's cause. Redshift was a strong adversary in battle because of his ability to channel his cosmic force via his swords. Nevertheless, the weapons he picked up ultimately determined his own demise. In the course of a fight with the Silver Surfer, Redshift was dragged into a spatial vortex and rendered defenselessly. When the Surfer left him in this parallel dimension, he was unable to follow after being cut off from his cosmically supercharged swords, which prevented him from continuing on. Invisible Boy. It is common knowledge among followers that Susan Richards, sometimes known as the Invisible Woman, is the most potent of the Fantastic Four's members. When Galactus arrived on Earth with the intention of changing her into his new Herald, he instead found that she and her brother, the Human Torch, had later switched their abilities. This foiled Galactus's plan. Galactus was unfazed by this and instead chose Johnny, who at this time had already begun referring to himself as the Invisible Boy. Johnny was at first terrified by his new cosmic talents, but he soon adjusted and started looking for empty worlds that Galactus might swallow. However, it was eventually revealed that his apparent loyalty to the World Eater was merely a distractionary tactic. This gave his teammates the time they needed to figure out a way to remove both Galactus and Johnny's cosmic energies, which resulted in both of them reverting to their original forms and temporarily neutralizing the ancient threat. Firelord. Perius Creel, a fellow Zendarian who served in the Nova Corps and a friend of Gabriel Lan's, was determined to save his comrade at whatever cost and spent years pursuing Galactus's ship throughout the cosmos. When Galactus first came into contact with Creel, he was struck by Creel's determination and courage. Perius was elevated to the position of Firelord after making an agreement to Galactus to disclose Lan's destiny in exchange for Creel becoming his new herald. In return, Galactus awarded Perius the power of the cosmos. In his role as Firelord, Creel largely materialized realized his cosmic might in the form of a stellar flame, functioning in much the same way as a live sun. He had the ability to project and control heat, light, and the gravity at levels sufficient to vaporize the majority of the stuff on Earth. However, Firelord's time spent serving as a Herald of Galactus was short, and he was eventually set free when the Asgardian Thor, seeing the underlying nobility of Krill, bartered the destroyer's armor in exchange for Firelord's release. Morg, a savage and bloodthirsty court executioner, chose to serve as a Herald of Galactus even after the cosmic monster devoured his homeworld. He was a violent court executioner. Morg, like all other heralds, was given the ability to manipulate the cosmos. After that, he located an old well of life and used its power to further enhance his already formidable abilities. Because of his unflinching allegiance and incredible effectiveness as a herald, Morg was responsible for the annihilation of hundreds of planets that had inhabitants. The Silver Surfer, seeing that Morg posed an ever-increasingly dangerous menace to the cosmos, gathered together a group of prior heralds to do combat with him. These heralds included Firelord, Nova, and the reconstructed Airwalker. Frankie Raye was killed by Morg during the fight, despite the fact that the crew was victorious in vanquishing the newest servant of Galactus. However, this success did not come without a cost. Terrax. Before he became a Herald of Galactus, Terrax had already established himself as one of the most formidable Marvel cosmic villains. Because he was able to give stone life, he was able to conquer the inhabitants of his homeworld and establish himself as a tyrant dictator over them. At this time, Galactus had reached a point of dissatisfaction with the nobility shown by past heralds, and he wanted a candidate who was more harsh and uncompromising. After being infused with the power cosmic, Terrax's stone-controlling skills were dramatically expanded. As a result, the villain was able to animate whole planets that were 100 miles wide. The immoral Terrax had no qualms about bringing Galactus's Annihilator to planets that were teeming with life, just as Galactus had anticipated. Unfortunately, his merciless desire also left little place for loyalty, and Terrax started stealthily conquering planets for himself, only continuing to serve Galactus out of fear. This caused a rift in their relationship, which led Galactus abandoning Terrax. Galactus robbed Terrax of his cosmic abilities and sent him to Earth, where Terrax betrayed Galactus for the last time. Stardust. Stardust was the most zealous of Galactus's heralds, and he treated the Devourer of Planets like a deity in his adoration. In order to achieve this goal, she not only searched for new worlds for her lord to devour, but also made an effort to track down and eradicate the inhabitants of worlds that her master had already destroyed. Stardust was a member of a race of creatures built entirely of energy. After receiving cosmic empowerment from Galactus, she became virtually immortal since she had the capacity to control the energies from which she was constructed, which effectively made her an immortal existence. She has the ability to heal herself from any kind of wound and to change her appearance on a molecular level in order to achieve a wide range of different effects. Stardust was separated from Galactus during a struggle with the enchanted hammer-wielding Beta Ray Bill, who imprisoned her in an alternative parallel universe. Despite the fact that she probably would have been happy to serve Galactus for an eternity, Stardust was separated from her master. Frankie Raye. Frankie Raye was an ally to the Fantastic Four and eventually joined their ranks, during which time the team briefly considered changing their name to Fantastic Five. However, when Galactus once again arrived on Earth, Raye's tenure with the FF was cut short as she volunteered to become Galactus's newest herald. Frankie Raye possessed abilities that were almost identical to those of the Human Torch. Raye, now known as Nova, followed in the footsteps of the Airwalker that came before her by befriending the Cosmic Devourer and faithfully serving him while progressively losing touch with her humanity. Despite the fact that Raye had volunteered to serve Galactus in order to preserve the Earth, her time spent as a herald led her to grow indifferent to the damage that she was causing. Despite the fact that her primary objective was to search out only unoccupied worlds, she gradually started guiding her master to populated planets, including the planet that the extraterrestrial Skrulls call home. Raye was ultimately reminded of her prior morals after years of working as a herald by the Silver Surfer, who sensed a kindred spirit in her. Galactus's show of his own uncommon mortal emotions resulted in him being envious of Raye's connection with the Silver Surfer. As a result, he fired Raye from her position as a herald, blaming her inefficiency as a herald when she once again refused to guide him to inhabited planets. In the end, this was the fate of everyone who had become a herald of Galactus. So click the like button if you'd like to see more videos just like the one you're watching now. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be waiting for you in the next video.